Hi, I'm Roseanne. I'm a firm believer in visiting other gardens, both public and private, to get ideas and be inspired. Today, I'm happy to show you one of my favorite public gardens in West Bend, Wisconsin. When I'm in the garden, I feel totally immersed in the diversity of flowers and fragrance, and very removed from the outside world, even though there are no visual barriers. I spent the morning with Barb Robertson, its founder and coordinator, talking about this unusual and striking compact garden that's designed to bring calm to its garden guests. You see, this is a labyrinth garden, a Cretan labyrinth to be specific. It's 90 feet in diameter and has 7 circuits. Some would say that the labyrinth represents a journey or path to our own center and back again out into the world. In this labyrinth, visitors make their way to the center and back out along flowing grass pathways lined with perennials, bulbs, herbs, and annuals. A stroll to the center and back is about 1/2 mile of pure, tranquil horticultural delight. Labyrinths have long been used as meditation and prayer tools. Unlike mazes, there are no trick endings in a labyrinth. Everything flows to relax the mind. The sheer variety of plants within this compact garden is inspiring. I think it would be impossible to visit this garden and not come away with at least a few ideas for plants to try in your own garden. Let me show you some that caught my eye when I visited in May and then again in July. From a distance, the garden in late May appears to be a canvas dominated by plant foliage. It's this time of year one really appreciates the impact of varying foliage colors, shapes, and textures on an overall design. Up close, however, we see the subtle displays of early summer flowers. For example, look at this striking and unusually colored bearded iris. At the same time, we have some bright yellow daffodils blooming behind some fading tulips. In the foreground, the purple flowers with tall, stiff stems are hardy columbine. And don't miss the beautiful burgundy foliage of the penstemon and the bunches of sweet little pansies. A few other bright spots in the garden include this delicate little display of forget-me-nots. I just love the distinctive blue color. Then there's the light pink of the Canterbury bells, swaying ever so gently in the wind. And finally, one of my favorite early ground covers, creeping phlox. The garden looks significantly more vibrant in July, filled with color everywhere you look. As I stroll the labyrinth, I'm struck by the gorgeous plant combinations, which seem to be never-ending. For example, look at the beautiful purple spiked liatris combined with the white double-flowering Shasta daisy and the creamy orange peach of the daylily. Or how about this, a giant lemon-yellow lily surrounded by tall purple larkspur. This classic combination of colors can be found opposite each other on the color wheel, and as such are referred to as complementary colors. Another absolute fiery combination can be found with the red of the coleus plant and the bright orange of the red-hot poker plant. I was also impressed by how many daylilies were blooming. Everywhere you look, you're bound to see daylily plants, some very exotic, combined artfully with other perennials or annuals. I asked Barb about this. So Barb, there are so many spectacular daylilies blooming now.
Yes, we have over 100 different varieties. And we actually have become a daylily display garden. So people can come here and they are labeled with the name of the daylily and the hybridizer. So that's why you see so many beautiful ones, and most of them are in bloom right now. So you're lucky you're seeing them right now.
We were indeed fortunate. There's no denying that the daylilies were at their showiest. The sheer variety of flower shapes, sizes, and colors blooming right now was quite impressive. Some of the flowers had dainty, ruffled edges, while others had distinctive recurved petals. Some, called spider daylilies, had long, spindly, spider-like blooms. I understand that to be classified as a spider daylily, the petals need to be at least 4 times longer than they are wide. Traits that are desirable in a daylily are long-lasting green foliage, interesting floral shape and color, and lots of flower buds for a long bloom time. Each bud of a daylily opens for only 1 day, hence its common name. Depending on the variety and its ability to keep producing flower buds, daylilies typically bloom anywhere from 2 weeks to 6 weeks. According to the American Hemerocallis Society, also known as the American Daylily Society, there are over 80,000 registered cultivars of daylilies. I asked Barb about some of her favorites in this display garden.
This is one of my favorite ones that I have in the garden, and it's called Jamaican Me Crazy. And the names are so fun sometimes. For example, this one is called Panties in a Bunch, and it's because the inside is all bunched up sort of, and it is a double. It's a very lovely one. This particular daylily is hybridized by Nate Bremer of Solaris Farms, and this one's called Arguing with Emma. Emma is his daughter.
Apparently Emma, who assisted with hybridization, saw something her father didn't in this sweet little daylily. Eventually, she persuaded her father, and it was registered in 2004. Some other interesting daylilies with interesting names are Tuta Tango, a richly colored small double variety, or Jan's Twister, an enchanting spider variety with twisted petals. There's a lot going on in the garden other than daylilies. For example, this exotic-looking but relatively common monarda or bee balm. Pollinators just can't get enough. Also flowering now are coneflowers or echinacea. For a lovely orange hue, there's supreme cantaloupe, and then there's the reliably hardy Cheyenne Spirit.
Cheyenne Spirit is a wonderful coneflower to purchase. It often has 2 colors in the same plant. And sometimes when it first starts coming out, it's one color, like this one's sort of orange, and then it turns to this beautiful red, and then the one side of it is always yellow. But it's one of the more reliable ones that will come back year after year.
The garden is also host to an interesting array of annual plants, or in the case of this orange marmalade Chrysandra, a perennial in warm climates, but considered an annual here. Or consider this bright blue mound of tricolored dwarf morning glories. Probably the most fun, especially for children, is the popcorn plant. Here, Barb tells us about it.
The popcorn plant is just a fun plant to have in the garden. It is a tropical plant, so we plant it each year, and usually it gets to be about 4 feet tall. And this looks sort of like an ear of corn, and if you stroke the leaves gently and then smell your hand, it smells like hot buttered popcorn.
The significance of volunteers to keep this garden looking so beautiful cannot be overstated. On this same visit, I met 2 of Barb's key volunteers. And who do we have joining us?
We have my right and left hand. We have Jodi Brown and Cathy Barbercheck. They're my partners in grime.
Very clever. In addition to Jodi and Cathy, Barb explains how this volunteer garden functions.
To maintain this garden takes quite a group of people, and we have about 35 people that help us. They adopt a section that's either 15 or 30 feet long, and we ask them to come and weed it and deadhead it and work up the soil. We plant it, and we have a pop-up water system that waters 3 times a week.
This garden visit wouldn't be complete without a closer look at this striking iron sculpture. Barb explained that this labyrinth garden is patterned after one in Lewiston, Montana, which also has a magnificent sculpture. This stately dragonfly was created by a local artist. And so ends the tour of this very special public garden. I hope you've enjoyed this tour of the Labyrinth Garden. I'd like to thank our hosts, Barbara, Jodi, and Cathy, for sharing their community garden with us.